Hey there, you are watching NC Barndo Build. My name is Brian, and on today's video, we are going to cover the 5 reasons why I think you should build your own home. The first and the biggest reason why we decided to DIY our own barn dominium was simply to save a ton of money. I've heard many times people talk about, hey, if you take your materials and double it, that would be your total cost, including labor. And based on my experience with this project, that's not 100% true. So let's look at our roof breakdown when we had the standing seam metal roof installed. I have a complete breakdown. The materials cost about $3,700. It was $3,698 to be exact, and the labor to install it was $2,850. So if you take those two numbers, divide it out, you come up with about a 77% of whatever your materials cost, that is your labor. Now, if we apply that to another section of the build, say for an example, the HVAC, just because this is kind of a small portion of the project and it was easy to do. If you look at the Mr. Cool Mini Split, total cost to have that unit was $2,282, and if you take that times that 0.77, you get roughly $1,757 in potential labor to have the HVAC system installed. You guys let me know what you think, how accurate this is. This is just what I experienced with the roof install. Reason number 2 behind why I think you should build your own barn dominium and why we decided to build our own barn dominium was simply because we had complete control over the project. Here's a little video clip of the roof install process, and again, this is one of those parts of the project that I subcontracted out. So with having complete control over your project, there's some good and bad that comes with that. The bad, first off, is if something goes wrong, it kind of all falls on you because you're the guy responsible for it. The good side of being in control of the project is whenever you want to make changes, you can make changes. Whenever you want to do things a little differently, you can do it. And in most cases, I think it ends up with a better product if you know what you're doing. So a great reason to do your own home build is because it's a custom home built by you. You're the responsible party, and I think that nobody puts more effort and care into doing something right than when you're the homeowner. After all, you got to live in the building that you construct. Reason number 3 is because it makes you an expert on your building. It's a custom build just for you, and if you DIY most of the project, you have intimate knowledge of the entire building. For those that have done any kind of home remodeling and dealt with electrical wiring, would probably agree that, man, it would really be nice to know how things were wired up when they built the home. And that is one of the huge benefits behind building your own house. You have that intimate knowledge of how everything was put together. I can tell you exactly how the wiring was done in the garage, where the wires were ran, what wires go where, what breakers serve what circuits, what's on what circuit. You know it all. And that's just a small facet of knowing what went into the build. The 4th reason why you may and why we decided to build our own barn dominium was to introduce ourselves to our neighbors and the neighborhood. I can't tell you how many times people came over to introduce themselves and just to see what was going on. Here's a 360-degree view of our neighborhood from about 300 feet up in the center of our property. And you can see we live in a very rural area. And in my opinion, what people don't think about is meeting neighbors in this type of setting is very different versus if you live in town or in a community. You have to make an effort to meet your neighbors. You got to drive over, walk over and say hi and introduce yourself, or have your neighbors come over. And this build has been a great tool. It's drawn the neighbors over just to say hi, stop in, see what's going on, see if we need help. And I can't think of a better way to meet your neighbors. We're front and center, up front by the road, doing the build, and it has been a great experience.
Last but not least, the fifth reason is because it's fun. We enjoy building, we enjoyed the process, and it's something in the end that hopefully we can look back and say, yeah, I did that.
Let's be honest, how many opportunities does one get to run a mini excavator unless they're in the construction business or earth moving business? I had a blast running this little piece of equipment, digging some test holes for the environmental health department, and it was probably the most fun I had on the build. But there's a lot of aspects to the build that were a lot of fun, and that's not to discount the notion that doing your own build, there is a lot of hard work involved and a big commitment, but it's also a lot of fun. And I've enjoyed this process so much, and I think you would too if you tried your own build. Now, I know building your own home is not for everyone. And in the next video, I'm going to cover the 5 reasons why I think you should reconsider building your own home.